Hey guys, how's it going? This is Unintimidated, the Tim Ellis Show. I'm your host, Tim Ellis, um, and today we're going to be talking about red flag laws and a little bit of their history, a little bit of what they are in general, if you're unfamiliar with what they are and what they're actually about, um, and also and yeah, kind of just why I disagree with them personally. So yeah, as for their history, Nicholas Cruz in 2018 in the Parkland school shooting killed 17 and injured 17 people. He was diagnosed with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder and antisocial personality disorder, which is kind of a dangerous combination, especially for someone with a bad childhood. So yeah, the thought was that it could have been like he could have been discovered, or like someone could have reported that he'd had these disorders, and then he could have been like taken care of properly and could have had his access to guns removed so that this terrible shooting didn't happen, right? So this is kind of when red flag laws first started actually like really getting big. They didn't seem to really have exploded until this year. But there have been, I believe Colorado had it in 2018. They had a red flag law in place, and so yeah, there's currently there are 19 states that have red flag laws. I'm really just going to be talking mostly about the New York red flag laws, merely because that's the one that I've done the most research into, and it seems to be the median for red flag laws. Like there are some that are less strict, and then there's California and some other states that are a little more strict. But in essence, what are red flag laws? Red flag laws are just laws that, as in New York, their standard for it is reasonable cause to believe that the person has a mental illness for which immediate observation, care, and treatment in a hospital is appropriate, and which is likely to result in serious harm to himself, herself, or others. And then it defines that. So this is the Mental Hygiene Code, section or nine. I don't actually know how to read that. Section 9.39 of the Mental Hygiene Code of New York, and it's that exact description that's like being targeted for red flag, right? So basically, you can file a report. You can be like, I firmly believe that this person is in violation of this code, and as like of the day of your filing, a judge can have that person's guns all taken away from them, and then after a trial, can have them prohibited from purchasing new pistols, shotguns, rifles, and ammunition for up to a year in New York, and then it's like a year or whenever in California, which is kind of to be expected, right? I'm very surprised California hasn't outlawed Nerf guns yet. Um, they're getting there. It'll be a few. It might be a few days, but it's coming down. I feel it. Um, but yeah, so that's what this mental hygiene law, or this is what um, red flag laws, or I believe they're called ERPOs, extreme risk protection orders, or California has a term. Let me look at it. GVROs, gun violence risk orders, and basically what this, uh, yeah, they just make it so that you have the ability to, if you see someone who's very mentally deranged and you're related to them in some way. So there's different types of relation that you can have. You can be family member, which are is defined as like kind of anybody by blood relation. It's spouse, domestic partner, parents, siblings, children, grandparents, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, uncles, aunts, half siblings. It's out there, right? Um, your current, recent household members of the person, employers, coworkers, and then also teachers are kind of in that. So it's very like an umbrella of just everyone who's around you, really. Like outside of the random guy in the subway on your way to work, anybody else can report you. And even him, if he lies and says that he's related to you, as Colorado red flag law violation that I'm going to talk about later. So, yeah. So basically, these things are not, I don't think they're good. I really don't. I think that they may be well intentioned, and I think that's why they have bipartisan support, because there are a lot of Republicans, a lot of Democrats, a lot of any other random party. I know there's like 50 something. Not 50 something, just there are a lot of, you have like your libertarians and Green Party and whoever else. But yeah, just Republicans, Democrats, both kind of united on this red flag law as a way to just help crack down on this on these mentally challenged people having like being of danger to themselves or danger to other people. So yeah, I I think it's wrong for sure. Primarily because if you look at it and it the way it works, it assumes that the person is guilty until they're proven innocent in the courts, right? So there are some times that you'll file for these ERPOs and it'll be thrown out because it's like, oh, you just kind of filed against the police chief. Like, he's no. But like, other times it's kind of taken seriously and you you actually have to go to court to prove that you're innocent. And maybe you're just having a bad day. Like, it's possible. People have bad days. It doesn't mean that they want to shoot up a school. It just means that their car broke down and the girlfriend cheated on them. So that is what it is. But these red flag laws are just kind of they don't follow due process. They're just put in place almost as a band-aid, just kind of like, oh, we see blood gushing out of that area, so we'll just shove a thing on it. And it's not really the best thing to do, right? Sometimes you need stitches. And this is just kind of, it almost seems to be for the look of it, right? It's kind of like how every spring, right before a governor is up for re-election, all the roads have just construction barrels up and down them like crazy. And it's just because they're trying to make it look nice. It's gonna look like trash the next spring, but it just makes it look nice. It doesn't mean it's any better. So, yeah, that's what these are. They're just there for the appearance of trying to do something, right? And I think there are a lot of problems that cause gun violence, and I don't really have an exact solution, but when you're starting to violate the Constitution, when you're violating people's Second Amendment rights, that's not an answer. That's never an answer. So I think there needs to be something done, but it's not this. It really isn't. This is, it's like I said, it's just a violation of due process. It assumes that the person's guilty before they're proven innocent, and it also can be kind of weaponized, right? So, for example, like I was saying, Colorado, there was this lady who, Susan Holmes by name, had her son committed, it's called suicide by police officer, and she tried to have an ERPO filed against this officer because he defended himself, right? So her son had a knife, and this was in a confrontation with a police officer. Police officer told him to drop his knife. I believe it was like 36 times in 2 minutes. Let me see if yes, 36 times in 2 minutes, which is, that's a lot. Like every 4 seconds, drop the knife, he refused. So the police officer went to holster his pistol and to try and stun the kid. Jeremy Holmes was his name. Was the kid's name, right? And Jeremy charged the officer, and the officer, along with his with another police officer, both deployed their weapons in self-defense, and the kid didn't live, right? So it is terrible. It's a terrible tragedy, but it's just not right that she's able to file an order against this officer who was cleared of all wrongdoing, right? He was ruled to have used his weapon properly, he'd given incredibly significant warning. Like, if you're not listening after even, like, I'd say the fifth time, like, yeah, maybe you had your earbuds in, but like when a police officer has his gun out, I'd listen, you know? And he didn't. So he was killed as a result of just disobedience and making the officer firmly believe that he was in extreme danger. And the mother went after the officer was cleared of all wrongdoing, using Colorado's red flag law to try and have the officer's weapons, just guns, taken away from him. Fortunately, she failed, but it goes to show that like people can just do this. And she was of no relation to the officer. She claimed that she was, but she was not. And yeah, I think, well, I know there are other examples, but this is one that kind of stuck out to me because he'd been cleared of any wrongdoing. It was judged that he had used his weapon properly, and she was still able to go after him with a Serpo. And fortunately, it didn't make it through. But she claims that he was a credible threat for the reckless use of a firearm. So it's just I understand that there needs to be something done for people who are suicidal, are just of danger to themselves or others in a very serious way, but this isn't the way to do it. You can't violate Second Amendment rights. You can't just assume that because you allow people to report other people for potentially being violent, it's just like, why? I don't understand it. I think it's really retarded. And there needs to be a solution. This just isn't it. So I will include that article for the police officer incident probably in the description of this video. I'll have to figure out how to do that for Instagram. Pretty sure I know how to do it for YouTube. I'll figure it out. I'm working on this. So, yes. But that's kind of my opinion on red flag laws. I think that they're just trying to bandage up a wound that really needs stitches, not a Hello Kitty Band-Aid. And it may look like it's going to stop something, but there's really no proof of these laws preventing any violence, just that it's an attempt. It really is. And not a fan. But so yeah, that's red flag laws. That's where, let me see if I had anything else I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, I did. Executive Order 19 of New York, which is a fantastic laugh for anyone interested. Kathy Hochul, as of May 18th of 22, so this year now, issued an executive order directing state of police to file these AirPos because I guess they were not complying as much as she would like. And she says, whereas violence with firearms remain the most deadly tactic employed by domestic extremists, with violent white supremacist extremist inspired by replacement theory, carrying out deadly shootings, targeting a Pittsburgh synagogue, a California synagogue, and an El Paso, Texas Walmart. White supremacists? Really? That's what we're making executive order? Like, why? I understand there's a problem. Probably. I don't know. I don't really claim to understand what's going on in these shooters' minds. But why an executive order? Like, I don't understand everything going on at the upper echelons of politics. I won't claim to. But if there's really a problem and it's a reasonable one, why can't you just get it passed the normal way? Like, why is an executive order like, why all these executive orders? Because if something's reasonable and it's clear that Democrats support this, right? So you just need to get Republicans behind it, right? And if it's reasonable, why do you have to make an executive order out of it? Can't you just go the normal way, the way that we're supposed to do? It's like laws are formed in a certain way for a reason, right? Because that way numerous people get to say and get to make sure that it's right for everybody, right? Why do you have to make an executive order out of it? But also, like, white supremacists. It's weird. I don't understand why there needs to be an executive order for that. It's kind of ridiculous. But anyways, I don't know. New York and California, y'all are messed up. I don't understand it. But so yeah, that's red flag laws, and that's why they're wrong. So I hope that there is a reasonable solution to this. Y'all post down in the comments what you would do personally. I don't know. I am on the side of I don't have the studies brought up right now, but there have been studies on when they've mandated, like, states have mandated households to have like guns in the house. And if you look at the crime statistics after that and you watch them drop, it just seems like the problem isn't that there's no way to stop these mentally deranged people, but maybe that there needs to be more in place to make it more frightening for them to commit these crimes, right? Because if you look at where they're doing them, right? Synagogues, they're doing, churches, they're doing schools, they're doing concerts, right? What's something in common with all of these places? It's that you can't bring a weapon into them. You cannot bring a gun into them, right? So they know that they're not going to have any resistance, and they realize that they're the most powerful person in the room when you walk in with whatever weapon you're going to do. It doesn't matter if it's got a, high capacity or not. It's just also high capacity. That's an upcoming video. That's going to happen because that's ridiculous, and I very much dislike that because I don't understand why. But that's another video. But that's the thing. It's just like all of these crimes with guns that are committed are in areas where people aren't really given the weapon with which to defend themselves, right? Because if you look at like a petite little, you have your teacher, right? She's not a MMA fighter. She's not some physically imposing, like, by the time a kid is like 17, he should be larger and stronger than his teacher, or he's doing something wrong. Like, I mean, I do understand, like, physical, just like, oh, you were born with this defect or something, but, like, under normal circumstances, on average, by the time you're done with puberty, most guys are far and away stronger than any girl. Average, of course, right? There's gonna be exceptions to everything, but just by and large, right? So why aren't we letting these teachers protect themselves? Why are we just making, rather than trying to stop the leaks before they come up, why don't we just give a teacher the flex tape and just let her get it? And I understand it's a two-way thing. Like, you want to stop these kids from getting weapons, but why don't you just do the easy thing, right? And let the teacher carry. You don't need to have like a ton of security guards around the thing, around the school. You don't have to have, but just like lock the doors after school starts, and a security guard would be nice. The IRS just got however many thousand employees. Can't we just we've read their employment paper. We know that they're supposed to be able to carry. Why don't we just distribute them to the schools and let them audit kids coming in and just make sure that, oh, yeah, you're a student here. Yes, your class starts in 10 minutes. Yes, you can come in. Oh, wait, you're the kid who posted on Facebook last night that you were going to shoot up the school, and I see you have an AR in your hand. We're going to have to take that. Thank you very much. Right? Just, it's almost like they're trying to do the most inefficient but ego boosting way possible. They can say, I have passed legislation that allows people to report their neighbors so that we can make safer neighborhoods, right? And it's like, yeah, but why don't we just make safer neighborhoods, right? But anyways, that'll be all for now. I think I've gotten to everything I wanted. But yeah, if you want a good laugh, that Executive Order 19 from New York, Kathy Hochul, gave me a good giggle. White supremacy for the win. I'm kidding. Probably already canceled. But yeah, so that's that. Anyhow, thank you for watching. God bless.